Hello and welcome to Leeroy Gaming, where today we are continuing our playthrough of the life and suffering of Sir Brant. This is a narrative, choose your own adventure like RPG, kind of almost like I would say black and white, but it's really like sepia, I guess. Kind of a color book kind of feel in a very, very dark world where you can really develop your character in any given variety of given ways. We are role playing a very determined, almost kind of heartless climber of a character. We just finished the childhood and we are dead set on not being stuck with our commoner lot. We are looking to rise up in the world no matter what it takes. So in the first episode, we went from year 0 to year 8. So from birth through childhood. And in today's episode, we are going to be going through all of adolescence as we prepare for youth. So hopefully you enjoyed this and my narration. If you do, make sure you drop a like, leave comments if you have questions, and I hope you guys enjoy. All right, let us go ahead and continue into adolescence without further ado. You've lived in the world for 8 years now. As you grow older, life grows more complex. The world of your childhood is limited to your house and family, but now that realm is expanding. It also includes your neighborhood, the nearby houses, the streets of the ancient city of Anazati. A question now looms over you, growing more pressing with each passing year. What will your place be in this vast outside world? Few people in the blessed Arcanian Empire trouble themselves with this question. It's not within a man or woman's power to choose. Their destiny is predetermined by their birth and those who bore them. And yet, your particular birth has granted you a choice. Your father is a man of nobility, a worthy example in matters of duty and honor. Your mother is a commoner of lowly estate, humility and patience made flesh. And your sky is ablaze day and night with the light of the shining pillar, the beacon of clergy. Your back bears the mark of the lash. Will you accept the drudgery and suffering that is the lot of the lowborn for your entire family? Or will you follow in the footsteps of your father and your father's father and fight for the right to serve the empire as a noble of the mantle? Perhaps will you follow the twin gods' words and offer spiritual guidance to others? Pertaining to lowborn, to quote, famous quote, no, no, no. Okay, the answer lies out there. In that vast, terrifying world, what awaits you beyond the walls of your home? Your world grows. The neighborhood, the house nearby, the streets of the ancient city of Anazati. Will you accept the suffering that is allotted lowborn for your entire life? Or will you follow your father's fight for the right to become a noble? Or is your path a spiritual one? What awaits you beyond the walls of your home? Here are the events that can happen. Glorious secret. If we have ingenuity 4 or higher. Stephen's disgrace. Find out about elder brother's forbidden love. If you have nobility 4 or more. Blood tide. Join the blood tide of the Brant family. Ooh, nobleman's sacrament is required. Or Gregor Brant. We, I believe, already have nobleman's sacrament done. And Nathan's adoration if we have spirituality higher 4 or higher. All right. Events in the personal life. Ooh, matter of the hearts. You can meet a girl. Experience your first romantic feelings. We're always going to be cold and calculated. Revelation of the tree. You experience the revelation of the sacred silver tree. If you have an epiphany or experience the revelation. Sophia saved. Will you rescue Sophia? So, your personal qualities at this age determine which choices you may take. So, nobility represents how noble your thoughts and deeds are, and your pursuit of the honorable ideals of the nobleman affects your chance to become noble of the mantle and future skills that are crucial to noble estates. That's definitely going to be a big focus for us. Ingenuity represents how quick-witted you are and how skillful you are manipulate a situation to your own end. Affect your ability to survive without the privilege of nobility and future skills that are crucial for a commoner. Well, it sounds interesting. We have no interest in being a commoner. And spirituality, aspiration to unlock the mysteries of creation, explore divine, the mortal world, people around you, and yourself. It affects your ability to become a priest and future skill crucial to the clergy. Well, you know, we were given the lot by our mysterious creators to be a commoner. We want nothing to do that. So, quote Conan the Barbarian, to hell with you. We're gonna go against all of that. We will do what it takes to be a noble, I think. Personality, as always, willpower. And deaths, we have not died yet. Relationship screen, province screen is available. Map of the Empire. Let us continue. $11.26. Boy down the street. The family expects more and more from you as you grow up. The teachers and tutors hired by your father keep you on your toes all the time. Your life these days is dedicated to studying for your future, for the future of the Brante family. Your younger brother Nathan keeps growing up too. He can hold a conversation now. You never refuse him when he comes to play, provided you have a bit of free time between your demanding lessons. It's a rainy day today. Father and mother have gone to a ball, and they left Nathan to your care. You lose track of time. The books in the sitting room. And Nathan goes off alone to splash in the creek. Soon you hear his voice begging you to come outside. He's in the porch, sobbing, all covered in dirt. You walk up to him as he continues to bawl. Nathan, it's all that kid. He pushed me into the ditch and called me names. Said I was a fancy pants fool. I said I'll call my brother. He's still there. You have to punish him, Leeroy. Nathan points at a lopsided wooden house further down the street where the poor artists live. You see two boys lingering there on the porch. They are clearly both commoners, but far from poor. One of them is almost as tall as Nathan, and he frowns in a funny way, just like him. The other looks older, almost your age, but he is more broad-shouldered and taller. His name is Thomas. You've heard it before. Nathan. There, Leeroy, that's him. Nathan points at the younger boy and hides behind your back. Thomas grins and rolls up his sleeve to reveal strong forearms. He must have been helping his father with manual labor for quite some time. Thomas, ghetto. Listen up, rich boys. You don't give a damn about you or your friendship. We don't give a damn about you or your friendship. We don't let nobody call our home a stinking rat hole. Your little brother earned his ditch dive. Maybe next time he'll dress normal and stop picking fights with people who can throw him in the mud. Your hand clenches into fists before you react. Nathan called them names first. No wonder they did the same. That's how it goes. But pushing your brother into a ditch is too much. Thomas stands tall and confident. He sees no threat in you. About to get ready for a fight when you feel a tug on your sleeve. You turn to your head to see Nathan, the one who started the whole mess. We can't listen to him because we have because Nathan is not grateful. Let's see here. Come to Thomas and give him a beating. Woo! Yeah, that's us. You simply have to teach a jerk a lesson. The bold-faced bully is taller and clearly stronger, but nobody talks to you like that. You leap at Thomas and start tearing into him. Jumps backward, surprised by your assault. Takes him a moment to compose himself, but now he's ready. His fist covered his face, and he attacks you with a quick jab. It's now your turn to take a step backward. You start trading blows, huffing and puffing with rage. The younger brothers gawk and awe at the sight. Thomas does not resort to fancy moves. Dirty tricks or stupid taunts. He displays nothing but skill earned in many street fights. His heavy fists aim for your head. You keep dodging him again and again, trying to reach him. He takes a couple of glancing blows, but easily shakes them off. What a bruiser. You start swinging your fists with greater and greater fury. Your heart is pounding like a hammer. You see nothing but the foe in front of you. How much longer will this take? You're worn out. Your breath grows ragged and your muscles grow heavy. But there's no way you can give up now. Nathan is watching you. Despite desperate and out of options, you swing and punch Thomas square in the nose, and immediately you let his fist smack you in the temple. The blow rings through your head like a bell and blinds you for a moment. The word swims before your eyes, clutches you. You clutch at your head to get your bearing. Thomas is standing in front of you, blood dripping from his nose. You no longer want to fight it out, and it seems your opponent would rather end it too. But you keep standing there, eyeing each other angrily. Then suddenly, you hear an angry shout right next to you. An enraged man in craftsman's apron is shaking his fist. Thomas's face contorts in terror right away. It's my father! Run! Punishment for fighting is flogging, and the mere prospect of that makes you run like the wind. Thomas sprints in front of you. You dash across the rotten wooden planks of the back alley, up and over a lopsided fence, across a giant puddle in one leap, and then forward into the tall grass. You hide there and stay quiet. You hear no sound of pursuit. You exchange glances with Thomas and start laughing. His laughter is loud and infectious, but soon he cuts it short and grows sadder. Yeah, I'll get flogged anyway. My dad's always quick to give me a beating. And then he'll start nagging me about the lots and the prayers for days like he always does. Why do I always get myself mixed up in this stuff? But fighting's the only way to prove your worth anyway, right? Adults didn't see you fighting, you tell them. So all you have to do now is convince them you weren't. Nosebleeds happen, right? Mother gets nosebleeds all the time. Well, we could try it. Let's hope our little brothers don't tell on us. I'll talk to mine. There's a scratch in your head. Don't let them see it. Good thing I didn't hit you in the face. There, good as new. You assure him that Nathan will never tell, and in return, make sure he behaves himself so he won't get tossed into a ditch again. With that, you shake hands with Thomas. His handshake is as strong as you would expect based on his fists. You make your way out of the tall grass. You need to leave before Thomas's father goes to your family and complains about your breaking your lot. You come to realization on the way back. You had no idea the place you were hiding even existed. It wasn't too far from home. Thomas smiles in excitement when he hears this. Oh, I know lots of places like this. I'll tell you what. If we get out of this mess today, I'll show you the way to the old wall. It's a perfect place to build forts. I dragged a bunch of wooden planks there. Too bad it's no fun to build all alone. My brother never help. He just gets in the way. Emerge from the muddy back alley united by a secret only the two of you know. It seems you've made a friend today. And a friend. Thomas. $11:27. Riders on the road. It's a blistering hot today, even for the sun-parched land of Magra. As soon as you are done with your studies, you dash outdoors and out the stuffy room. You and Thomas roll up your shirt sleeves, but it barely helps. You would gladly go shirtless, had you only been in the company of other boys. There are 3 girls in the yard today. They're doing laundry in a big wash tub, whispering and giggling. If you could, you would gladly keep watching one of them at work. She has big eyes of deep blue. Her dark hair is braided, and her plain gray dress is mended and patched all over. Her name is Sophia. She throws her head back a little when she laughs. The rays of the sun are reflected in her eyes. You, Thomas, and the other boys keep telling silly stories, anything to make her laugh. Sophia. You sure love telling tall tales, Leeroy. Oh, I remember this one time. But Sophia hears a voice calling her home. She nods to you and runs across the street smiling. Her light steps carry her forward, but her eyes are looking elsewhere. Then a stone on the road catches her foot. She stumbles and falls flat in the dust. The street starts shaking from the thundering of hooves. Riders appear on the road from around the corner. They bear a coat of arms you recognize right away, a sable serpent blade upon a field of vert. It symbolizes the Melandinas dynasty, the family of your province's Archduke. Horses dash forward. A lost wooden toy on the road cracks under their hooves. They will not slow down. They are the nobles, and the rest must make way for them. Sophia is in their way, just now starting to get back on her feet. Her mother is crying for her desperately from behind the fence door. You freeze in terror. The riders surely see the girl. Are they going to stop, or are they going to trample her? Only a few moments, the beautiful girl will be toppled, trampled, and crushed. Ooh. Sophia saved, nobility up to protect the weak. But you would die. So this is in this game where there are such difficult choices. Willpower is your energy to do special actions. So in that case, what occurs is you have to quite literally decide when are you going to use it and when are you going to conserve it. So she's a commoner. So our character trying to crawl, kind of rise up, really doesn't want. Part of him, he has no interest in dealing with commoners. Um, he wants to move up. At the same time, nobility and being noble, saving people, protecting people is a big part of what individuals like my character do. So, do you sacrifice yourself for somebody else, or do you not and let them die? So, when this comes to here, I believe his priority would be to save somebody. So, while he has no interest in her, I don't think long term, and it may lead him to potentially die. At the same time, I do believe he would probably not want to stand by and watch her die. It's my thought here. Okay, let's see how this goes. Throw yourself blindly into the road, swinging your arms wildly. Dazed by the sound of the thundering hooves, you can see nothing in the dust. For a brief moment, the horses slow down, just long enough for Sophia to get back on her feet and flee the roadside. But then the riders dig into their spurs. Dozens of hooves knock you off your feet and roll across your body. Your bones crack, break, and crumble. Your ears are ripped apart by the thunderous rhyme of the ride. Your innards are pulverized. The last thing you remember is the sound of your own skull caving in. First death. Fall into pain that embraces you like a soft feather bed. You feel light, free. There are no restraints. It's a warm glow that envelops you in its secure embrace. The waves carry you. They're soft. Their touch is soft. They delicately enshroud what was once your body. It's a feeling unlike anything you've ever experienced before. Something absolute and complete. Touch something greater. The reason behind everything. The reason for your very existence. You're sculpted from this light. It was the first thing you ever felt. Boundless and sincere unity of the diverse. Beginning was a spark that cast this light in all its direction, and now you're here again, one of the beginning of everything. Light gleaming from you resembles the light of the shining pillar. You still see it in the north as always. The waves of light carry you to two figures. The elder is the nearest. He is ready to accept you. He is quiet, wise, kind, and pure. Younger waits further back. You do not know what he is yet. The waves pause at the elder's feet. He leans over you and plants a feather-light kiss on your forehead. It spreads all over you. You're filled with unparalleled delight and bliss. You exist. You're unique. There's no one else like you. You know this, and they love you. You will never be alone. You're a part of them, a part of your family, a part of this universe. The twin gods will never leave you. They watch over you constantly. The elder softly touches you and lies spread on amongst the waves, sending you further down the torrent of light. You float on to the top of the silver tree's spreading crown. The closer you get to the silver tree, the heavier you become. The waves draw you down along its trunk. But you do not wish to part with the warmth and the softness, with the love. Turn around. The elder is still watching you. He nods, all as it should be. Go. Your time has not come yet. You must return to the world now. As you tumble down towards your body, you comprehend the true meaning of your lesser death and the divine love that has been revealed to you. Love exists not only in the hereafter, it's present in the entire design of the twins, that is the origin of all life in this world. What is the manifest of love in your mortal life? Ooh, so you get to pick Empire. By creating the Empire, the twin gods cared for all living creatures. Empire is the only thing that gives us a place in the world and a connection to others, an enormous family made of people, gods. Lot, the gods give you a clear mission in the world, thus giving you a very beginning, manifestation of love for you and for all living things. Nope, I don't like being lesser lot family. Love always lives in kindred blood. You share the miracle of life in the universe with your kin. Family is what you are giving upon being born and what you leave behind when you depart. Cause, the love of God have for you is so great that they allow you to change the world that you have created, to influence it with your deeds. Whatever your mission is, it is a love for you. For yourself, what could be stronger manifestation of love than your very existence? Your every emotion, every thought, every action exists by virtue of love from which it was created, or remains silent. I think cause. That's what I think. That sudden comprehension of the love of which the entire world is imbued illuminates your mind, but then it fades away and vanishes. Regain the sensation of your flesh. It is heavy and unwieldy. Lacks that lightness, that light. It is a burden. It is smothering you. Gasp for air. Your chest expands painfully. You feel as though your lungs are about to burst. Stagnant odor of crypt fills them, revolting but so real. You are back. Then you can feel again. You sense your body, head, arms, and legs. The light fades around you, obedient before a will that is stronger than you. Return to the world, such is the law of the twins. You will return to the world until the time of your true death. In this world, you will have a body with which to feel pain and suffering and pleasure. You smell a sickly, moist odor. You open your eyes and see the figures of mother and father in the gloom of the family crypt. Speaking to each other quietly, they stop as soon as they hear your gasp. Mother runs to you and locks you in an embrace, and father wraps you in his cloak. Neither of them say a word as they lead you out of the surface and back home. Robert, you met a terrible end, my son. You were trampled by those horses. Don't be so careless ever again. The lives you were granted by the twin gods are not to be wasted so recklessly. You would be punished for this, but the twins have already metered out their punishment. You tremble, you step unsteadily as you learn how to move again. Your body is eerily smooth, fresh, and renewed. Even the recent scars and scratches are all gone. But there is something new on this, a fresh black mark, a reminder of your lesser death beneath those hooves. Lydia, remember that, by the twins' mercy, we are all given enough time in this world. If you die before your time, you will be brought back by their grace. For 3 times they will rescue you from a terrible fate, but the 4th death is true and final for all. Every loss of a life we were granted at our birth is a heavy blow to us, but the gods told us not to mourn a lesser death, and so we will humbly accept this and move on. See, your body has been reborn anew, all your wounds healed. Do not mourn your loss of life, my son, but thank the twin gods for their justice. Do not speak of this, and do not ever play by the road again if you wish to keep on living. Cautious go back outside the next day. Children from the neighborhood surround you. They all saw you get trampled, and now they all ask the same question. What was it like to die? Thomas rescues you from their pestering, pushes the motley crew aside, hugs you, and pats you on the back. Look at you, buddy. You gave an entire life to keep a girl safe. You see Sophia. She's standing nearby, shyly working up the courage to walk over to you. Soon she finally approaches you and begins speaking rapidly. Leeroy, why did you throw yourself in front of those horses? My life isn't worth any more than yours, so why do you think that? You weren't supposed to die there. It was all those riders' fault. They deserve to die, not you. Her voice rises to a shriek. She suddenly stops and runs back home. You stay where you are, watching her run, the golden rays of the sun dancing in her braided hair. Dun-dun. $11.28. All soil and gunpowder. Sophia disappeared after the terrible incident with the horses. Her friends gossip that her parents sent her off to serve a rich noble dynasty. They haven't seen each other since that day. They still remember Sophia's eyes, the sunlight shining in them. But no matter what, life goes on. You're 10 years old now. Your studies continue and you're learning more about the land you live in. Nizadi is an ancient city in an imperial province by the name of Magra. All soil in Magra was turned to ash eons ago, scorched by magic during the rebellion of Duke Char Malinatas. The magical arts are all but gone now, but the scorched earth has remained barren and infertile ever since. Since then, the entire province has lain barren, tormented by cold and scorching winds in an equal measure, a few precious plants taking root on their own. All fertile land in Magra is bought elsewhere and brought here by an endless caravan of carts and carriages. Pay for food and soil, the cities of Magra became skilled in many trades, primarily mining and digging for metals and stone. Last fall, there was an explosion just outside the city, followed by clouds and thick smoke. The first such incident frightened the citizens, but then explosions and smoke became an everyday occurrence. Soon everybody grew used to it. Father explained that the miners are using a new invention called gunpowder. It makes it easy for them to reach the precious stones and metal buried deep within the earth. Then one day, a thunderous explosion rocks the city, and black, billowing smoke covers the houses. People are stuck in their homes, all windows tightly shut. The air is impossible to breathe. Nathan coughs all the time. Gloria and you cough only when nobody's watching. If Mother hears, she'll make you inhale those hot herbal vapors just like Nathan. It takes 2 days for the black smoke to disperse. Will pour out into the streets to meet their friends. Thomas is eager to share everything he knows about this incident with you. They took lots of burnt up people into the city temple. Mom told me she was helping the healers. There are many rumors. Some claim it was the work of a beast stirred from its slumber. Others say it's the surviving witches that continue to threaten the order and the empire of their accursed powers. But as for you, you patiently wait for Father to come back home. Then you'll ask him about it. Father spends days and nights working at the prefecture, while Mother spends all time in prayer. It takes a full week for Father to finally come home. He's almost completely spent. You muster enough courage during dinner to ask him what happened outside the city. Father raises his head, his face oblique where he masked, and starts muttering his proclamation. It's almost as if he doesn't see you. It's a mine outside the city. They were trying to get a vein of ore. There was an explosion, the mine caved in, and the black smoke started flowing. Many workers died there. It was all because Count Velasco, who owns the mines, wanted them to start mining that vein before they were ready. Some of the workers weren't even reborn. Perhaps the twins thought their final time had come. The prefecture has been inundated with complaints from families that have lost their breadwinners, asking judges for help. Many people also lost their cattle to the black smoke. Count El Vasco blames gunpowder for their disaster. The prefecture and the newspapers just repeat whatever he says. It's a plain old greed and tyranny of noblemen that are to blame. Why is the welfare of our province always paid for with commoner lives? Then without warning, grows silent again. You keep thinking about it for days. Human life really ends so easily. A single moment of bad luck and you die, only to emerge from the temple, a family crypt with a new black mark on your arm, or worse, you remain where you fell, dead, never to be reborn again. Ever. Stephen's arrival. During lunch, Father tells you to stay home in the evening and prepare to meet some important guests. Your elder brother Stephen will return home by dinner tonight. Joining him will be your grandfather Gregor Brante, as well as a noble friend of the family. You're excited about your brother's return. It's been years since you last saw him. How has he changed during his years away from home? You and your father waits the guests anxiously. The doorbell rings. 3 people are standing outside. Grandfather is the first to come in, naturally. He has not changed a bit since his last visit, still eyeing the house of contempt, looking for any reason to demean it. Grandfather is followed by a stately young man dressed in a jacket embroidered in silver, whom you barely recognize as your brother. Stephen casts a glance at you, threadbare clothes, dirty fingernails, and smirks. Last to enter the house is a personable gentleman with a worn-out, wrinkled face. You have heard a lot about this man from father and grandfather. He is Baron Augustin Elborn, Stephen's uncle, a family friend, and the province's prefect, which means that he is the head judge and thus father's superior. Till Elborn smiles lightly and offers you his hand. Augustine. And this must be your younger son, Leeroy. Yes, you have your father's eyes, young man. Father bows slightly to grandfather and still Elborn. There's a moment of quiet when Stephen's turn comes. Father reaches out to him awkwardly, expecting an embrace. There's a question in Stephen's eyes as he looks at grandfather. The old man shakes his head almost imperceptibly. We noblemen not put our emotions on public display, Father, not even after a lengthy separation. There's no embrace. Instead, Stephen nods to Father curtly. He responds in kind, his face devoid of emotion. After the greeting, you proceed to the sitting room. Elborn is the first to enter. He kisses Mother's hand and Gloria's too, and tussles Nathan's hair after he sees him hiding by the table. Grandfather acknowledges them with glum nod. Greetings, Lydia Brante. I remember you were kind to me when I was but a child, and you must be Nathan. You could barely walk when I saw you last. Your elder brother ignores Gloria completely. Not even a greeting. You proceed to the dining room in a dignified manner and take your seat. Dishes smell delicious. You merely punctuate the overwhelming tension at the table. Elborn is the only one with a friendly smile on his face. Dinner is splendid, Lydia. Did you choose the dishes yourself? You have a truly refined palate. It warms my heart to know Stephen spends his early years with you. Womanly care always does a child good, no matter the estate. Fork freezes in the air halfway to your mouth. You expect many things from a noble of the sword, but words of praise for a low-born woman are not one of them. You cast a glance at grandfather. He looks like he is about to choke on those words. Would do my grandson more good to stay at boarding school amongst his equals. Please, Gregor. Parenting is no less important. Nothing can replace a mother's love. I cannot deny it. It saddens me greatly that my late sister could not be there to raise Stephen. But there was still a family for him, and he was surrounded by love. How could that be bad? And besides, his father was by his side all the while. Father's example is always the best. After all, Robert earned a judge's rank the same way you did. Your grandson will surely follow in your footsteps, and who knows, perhaps even a younger man, the Brante family will contribute to the... You clumsy, low-born cretin! Everybody is startled by the sudden outburst. Grandfather's face turns red. He's glaring at a young lady servant holding a pitcher over a glass. Stephen is sitting right next to her, dabbing napkins on a fresh stain on his jacket. Begone this instant! The lady servant runs away, leaving the pitcher on a small table by the door. After a quiet moment, Elborn smiles again. It appears the servants have left us. Your dinner is far from over. Worry not, uncle. There are enough commoners at this table to keep us served with food and drink. Stephen glares at Gloria across the table. She's sitting right next to you. She shrinks down and hunches over under his glaze. Father furrows his brow. Mother covers her mouth with trembling hands. Grandfather sneers. Stephen's gaze does not move. The silence lasts far too long. Then she starts to rise from her chair. If the Brante gentleman so wish it. Hand clenches into fists under the table. How can he bring himself to humiliate his own family? His own mother and sister like this? It is all grandfather's doing. Stephen could not even bring himself to embrace father without his permission. Yet they are noblemen, and they have the right to act this way. If there's any way this dinner can become even more unbearable, I now want to see it. So I can insult my brother, can make small talk over dinner, or join Gloria in her plight. Yeah, gotta do the noble thing. Try to act like nothing happened and make small talk with the guests. Moving stiffly, Gloria takes the wine pitcher and starts refilling the glasses. Turn away from your sister, eager to distract yourself from her presence somehow. So you ask Sir Elborn how you may contribute to the family legacy. He turns to you, clearly relieved. Your eagerness to support the family betrays your noble bearing, young man. It is simple. Always remember that you are a Brante. Your family has a path of its own. You must follow it in the footsteps of your father and grandfather and learn the judge's trade. Keep asking questions about the life and duty of a nobleman, trying not to look as Gloria continued serving the table. Celeborn is eager to explain. Noblemen must always live with honor in mind, but the imperial law stands higher. There are 3 lots and 3 estates. Naturally, they can never be equal. The law must govern those who live within each state. You have a hard time understanding some of these things, the prefect of Magra says, but his intellect is stunning. Dinner ends. Gloria takes away the last of the dirty dishes and disappears quietly from the dining room. Celeborn cordially bids you farewell. Grandfather and Stephen are still haughty as ever, but they're clearly pleased. Pleased with what, you wonder? Dinner? Glorious humiliation. You go to sleep. Your sister's sobbing in the next room loud enough that you hear her. $11.29. 11 years old. Dropped handkerchief. Hot dry wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands around you. Noble residents of Anazade prefer to remain in the chambers, while the commoners settle in tents or in the shade of the silver tree. You're on an errand right now. Your father wrote a letter to a noble acquaintance, and you are to deliver it. Thomas, the boy down the street, is tagging along. The two of you are inseparable now. Here is an easy one. To decide to take this opportunity to loiter around the part of Anazade where the nobles live. So here you are in the middle of the city square, resting on the ancient brickwork by the old fountain in the merciful shade of the gargantuan silver tree. Thomas is by your side, lazily slouching on the edge of the fountain basin. It's a hard life for commoners like you and me. Either you break your back in the workshop day and night, hoping someone will buy your goods someday, I become a manservant to some noble. You never get a chance to enjoy life. It's our lot, you remind him. We work and endure and suffer, but Thomas waves your words away. Yeah, I know all that already. Mother keeps drilling that stuff into me. Must be humble, or strength is patience and persistence. Oh yeah, I say. But I want to make my fortune no matter what. So how ain't that living by my lot, I ask you? But the lots, they ain't easy. Let's take you, for example, Brant. Your father's a nobleman. But even if that didn't make you one, just look at your hands. You never had to work as hard as me. Well, we have the same lot, so we're supposed to suffer the same. Or look at your father. He's a judge. He tolls at the prefecture day and night doing his judging. He's a noble. I've never seen an Arcanian work as hard as he does. Shrug. Arcanians are a different race. The book says they were born to rule over humans. They're never commoners, always nobles of the sword by birth. They founded an empire after subduing all the human kingdoms on the continent. Humans will never be their equals. Arcanians are always better, smarter, stronger, and their skin is a noble shade of blue. The books are to be believed, of course. You have never seen one yourself. Idle chatter is suddenly interrupted by a rugged-looking guardsman dressed in black and green. He chases you away from the fountain. Common rabble like you have no place here. You hear the clattering of hoofs and wheels against the cobblestones and see flags bearing a coat of arms. A sable serpent on a field of vert. It makes you squirm. It is the Archduke's coat of arms. The Melandis dynasty. Carriage door opens, revealing a young lady in a luxurious dress. You cannot look away from her. Dainty shoulders, suggested, but not revealed by the cut of her dress, her black hair cascading over them, her stately slim silhouette, her pouty lips and prim nose, and those eyes dark like the night sky. The way she moves, fluidly, gracefully, and most incredible of all, her skin glows an azure blue. She's a masterpiece of given life. She is an Arcanian. Octavia, clear the way for me? Millennian guardsmen work quickly to clear the way to the fountain for the Arcanian lady. Searing sun dances on her skin in bizarre patterns. One elegant motion, she reveals her handkerchief, then leans over the basin and wipes her head and neck with its cool water. Malby, that's Octavia Milenadas, our Archduke's own daughter. Arcanians turn away and proceed gracefully back to her carriage. You see something slip out of her hand and fall onto the cobblestone right next to you. Her handkerchief. It's right there by your feet. Intricate craftsmanship. Expensive woven fabric. Delicate decorate with an emerald filigree. Heart skips a beat. Will you dare draw a beautiful Arcanian's attention in order to return her lost possession? Or would you rather not attempt to cross the chasm between you and her? Man. So we can stash the trophy. Sell. Keep the handkerchief as a memento. But talk about climbing. We gotta do this. You walk up to our Arcanian lady and give her back the handkerchief she had dropped. This is love. Takes a moment to overcome your fear. Follow young Lady Milandas and call out to her in a nervous voice. Turn it around, her beautiful face marred by a puzzled expression. Extend the drop handkerchief towards her. Later, Octavia's face contorts into a sneer. He sighs to the guardsman indifferently. A guardman's gauntlet-clad hand slaps you in the face. It rings your head like a heavy bell. Your nose cracks obediently under the staggering force. The rest of you follow suit as you fall prone. You can discern the guardsman's voice through the painful din of your ears. Should I take the handkerchief back, lady? After a commoner's hand have befouled it, let him wipe himself with it for all I care. Damn, she's harsh. The carriage drives away. Thomas runs up to you and drags you back to the fountain. It is still ringing from the blow. The fateful handkerchief is still crumpled in your hand. Meeting girl. Event has happened. $11:30. Cold. "12 years old now. You overhear an important conversation. Spring night, and mother has just sent everybody to bed. Walk past father's study and hear voices coming from beyond the door. Grandfather is yelling and father is replying quietly. The elder Brantmen are fighting, arguing about the place of the commoners in the city. Sneak outside to avoid Mother's attention and hide next to the open window of the study. Perhaps they'll mention you too. Gregor, that lowlife idiot has the gall to pay me a visit and beg me for some service. He had the insolence to ask me outright. He thought I was going to support his claim for the chairman's seat in the lesser quorum. How dare he? Robert, Father, please listen. Maybe Mayor Egmont may be a lowborn, but he carries a lot of clout in Magra. He owes 5 iron mines. A friend like him could be quite useful, should he become the chairman of the lesser quorum. I don't give a damn who this Egmont is, Robert. What he is, however, is lowborn. His lot is humility and obedience. The likes of him can never rule anything. Nothing but a flock of sheep that need a firm, noble hand to guide them. Gregor, I wasted so many years trying to quash that quorum decree. Like cursed Corellius Tempest did everything in his power to make the emperor sign that pathetic screed. Now every lowlife can wield power. True power, Robert. Robert, just the right to discuss the size of the Archduke's tax, nothing more. This is only the beginning. What's next? Are they going to arm the lowlifes now? Make them into judges? The Empire rejects the foundations and the lots. The entire edifice will crumble. Bah! Who am I telling this to? It's already crumbling, and you, my son and heir, are a harbinger of its destruction. Father, I'm begging you. I do not wish to marry a third time. Lydia is a good wife, a dutiful mother to my children. You would only allow her to. I will allow them nothing. Neither Egmont nor that freeloading wench of yours. What will you want me to do next? Live by the laws of the lowborn? I can already see where this is going. I'd rather run my own sword through my gut than live in a country where nobles and lowlife share the same right. My only dream is to see the name of Brant in a blue book. That dream will never come true. You will never call me Venerable El Brant, and it's all because of this marriage of yours. My only hope is now is to hear Stephen addressed in such a matter one day. Thank the twins I didn't let you ruin the boy. He's about to grow up a true nobleman. His children will bear the name of El Brant. Robert, you have 2 more grandsons. Those spineless milksops in the common lot, incapable of anything. Best the middle son could do is sneak into the Imperial College, get ennobled by the mantle. I have grave doubts about even that. As for the downtrodden Nathan, hold out no hope for him whatsoever. Your grandfather heavy footsteps, the thudding of his cane, the slamming of the door. It's time to sneak back home before you're discovered. School begins. You start studying at the school of Sir Depor and begin master the sciences. Storm of expectations. Finally, the day comes when teachers stop coming to the house. But before you can breathe a sigh of relief, put away your books, Father asks you to come to a study. Robert, you've grown, my son. It's time for you to continue your education away from home. I've chosen a deserving school for you. Sir Tibor's School for the children of noblemen and the well-off commoners. Naturally, it is not a boarding school for nobles, so you will study there during the day and come home in the evening. You share the news of your best friend Thomas. Sir Tibor's School, eh? Yeah, I got my parents to send me there too as soon as they get the coin together. Father says his workshop has toiled day and night for years to save up for my education. The school is based in an ancient estate of Orcanian design. Classrooms are tall and spacious with massive benches. The sounds of scraping quills and lectures of history and imperial law and theology echo under the vaulted ceilings. The rules are strict, the lessons tiring. Restless Thomas keeps getting distracted. Several times he gets his hand slapped with a stick for it. Every teacher demands flawless mastery of their subject. Every day, Father asks you about your studies. You have already told him twice how Magra joined the Empire and how the noble's court of honor is different from the commoner's civil court in the city prefecture. But Father keeps pressuring you to work even harder. When it's time to go to bed, Mother will not let you go to sleep until you recite a newly learned prayer for her. When it's time to go to school, you promise her every day that you will behave with great humility and steer clear of insolent behaviors of any kind. For you still live by the commoner's lot. That lot is hard work and suffering. The first month in school draws to a close. The teachers announce that there will be exams at the end of the month to determine the best and the worst students in each subject. Father insists that you devote all your spare time to studying law and history if you wish to follow in his footsteps. But when you speak to Mother every day, you start considering theology. Still remember the revelation in divine visions that came to you in your earliest years. You have only one more day until the exams. You've locked yourself away in your room. It's already getting late. Your desk is covered with handwritten notes, surrounded by leather-bound books. Just looking at them makes you queasy, but you have read through all of them again, at least once for your subject. There's a nagging thought in your mind. Thomas ended up in big trouble the other day. He got in a fight with several boys who live next street. They heard about your wooden fortress. Got an outrage. By the fortification built by commoners, they swore to dismantle it tonight. Thomas swore he would defend the fortress until the end. Perhaps you should abandon the books to rescue your friend in need. You hear the little brother Nathan knocking at the door. He stands there shyly, not saying a word. He often does that, standing still and staying speechless until either he speaks first or he runs away. This time he actually says something. Nathan, the door is locked. Are you okay, Leeroy? Is there anything I can do to help? Your head is spinning. This is the last evening before the school exam. If you fail, your family will be very disappointed. You have to refresh your memory on law or theology, either one or the other. Thomas and your fort are about to be stormed. Why today of all days? You grind your teeth in rage at the thought. Nathan is by the door, trying to bother you. He wants to help you the only way he can, for reason knows only to him. Will you accept his help? So we can focus on law and ability. Go help Thomas, study theology, or spend a moment with Nathan. Interesting. Yeah, even though I'm exhausted and I would want to just rest a little bit, school is important. You intently study the books on secular sciences. Push Nathan out of the room. He cannot possibly help you prepare for an exam. Soon your eyes start to hurt from all the legal terms and chronologies and titles and imperial edicts. Read everything, every single line of it, until your head hurts and your vision begins to blur. When Father walks in, he chuckles in approval. Fall asleep right there amidst the books. Morning comes. You barely have time to wake before you walk into the menacing edifice of the school. Time for law. All the students sit still, glued to their benches in terror. Teacher's voice singles you out. Commoner insults a nobleman's honor. How ought he to be dealt with according to imperial law? Bring the commoner to the prefecture, where the judge will sentence him to the corporal punishment. And what if a noble takes a commoner's life by negligence or whim? The noble is fined by the provincial authorities. Surprising even yourself, you give the correct answers to the questions and the many more that follow. The next subject is the history of Blessed Arcanian Empire. You masterfully recount the history of every province, the emerge of the empire from Moenia to Magra. Then you cite the names of every tempest who has ruled the empire. Conquer every question the teacher asks you without confusing a single date. You get the highest grade in law and history and an average grade in theology. Relay the teacher's praise to Father over dinner. He smiles, pleased with you. Well done, my son. I can see how hard you have been working. Keep at it, and you will be among the Empire's greatest servants. I am proud of you. Forbidden love. This event is a consequence of your previous action. Another day of school is behind you. Now wandering your district, taking your time before going home. It's getting dark. Soon you're walking past the splendid mansion of Count El Velasco, one of Magra's richest landlords. You hear a familiar voice from the other side of the iron fence. It's Stephen's voice. It's followed by a sound of a young lady laughing. Peek through the fence and into the mansion's garden, and indeed, there you see your elder brother. Dressed like he is going to meet Emperor himself. He's currently busy helping a pretty young lady out the window. Out the window, she locks him in an emotional embrace. You recognize her, Maria El Velasco, Count El Velasco's daughter. And as the whole city knows, she is already betrothed to another young nobleman from a far more illustrious family. Stephen, oh Maria, thought it would help you come down to earth from your heavenly abode. Your very touch brings me to the heavens. He picks up the Count's daughter up and holds her in the air. She laughs almost imperceptibly and kisses him on the cheek. But then Stephen takes her by the chin and turns her to face him. Lips lock, join in a kiss. A flurry of emotion washes over you as you watch it happen. Stephen is putting the reputation of his entire family at risk. Acting so frivolously with the Count's daughter may turn the Count's influence against all the Brants. Yet Stephen always speaks so highly of the noble bearing and composure and family honor. Stephen's face is glowing with joy. Your older brother, he is happy, truly happy. I've never seen Stephen like this, as his arms hold the Count's daughter in a tender embrace, so gently as though he fears to hurt her. And Maria reciprocates his feelings. Must you really rob them of their secret joy? You ever speak to him about this? No one must hear. Wait for the gate patient until Stephen decides to return from his escapades. He's startled when he finally notices you standing there by the gate. So remind him what nobleman's honor means, or aid Stephen in his cause. No, nobility. He must not dishonor the family. If Stephen keeps acting like this, he will bring disgrace upon the entire family. You fold your arms as you face your elder brother. He is confused to see you here. Speak to him openly. You know of his affair with Maria Velasco. Stephen should forget that young lady as soon as humanly possible. He freezes at those words. You keep talking. A noble cannot behave like this. Stephen is risking bringing shame on all the Brants. And worse yet, he is defying his own lot and his own words. His honor, Maria's honor, the family's honor will all be harmed by his recklessness. How could Stephen have forgotten about this? How could he have let his emotions rule him? Why should you have to be there to remind a born noble about this? You, who were born a commoner. Stephen frowns, but lets you keep talking. You wait for his anger, but there is none. You're finally done speaking. Your brother stays quiet for a long moment, and then sighs heavily. Yes, indeed. You're right. I lost control myself. Maria, I'm a madman in her presence. I forget the world when I'm with her. I forget my duty to my lot and my family. I will part ways with Lady El Velasco and offer my apologies to her father. My brother, thank you. You've reminded me of who I am. From that day on, Stephen stops going out at night. His attitude towards you has changed too. He now looks at you with respect, as if he has finally come to see you as an equal. Even in his anger, he is now quickly to recall your brave decision and stop himself. You're done. Your education continues. As you study imperial law, you come to realize that there is a certain hierarchy. Even within the noble estates, it seems your father's status is not quite equal to that of more eminent human and Arcanian gentry. Return home with this new information at your disposal. Father asks you about school after dinner. What is the difference between nobles of the mantle and those of sword, Leeroy? You already have an answer ready. The latter status is hereditary, meaning that it is passed down from father to son. After the Arcanians, nobles of the sword are the most eminent humans in the empire. They own land and estates, they fill offices of the highest rank. Names of their bloodlines are preserved with the great book. Nobility of the sword can only be granted only by the overseer of the province or the emperor himself. And how are such eminent people addressed? The honorific L before the last name, you respond. Sir Augustine L. Bourne, for example. Father pats you on the shoulder, clearly pleased. And what about the Arcanians and their status? What have you learned about them? The Arcanians stand above all human gentry. They are born to rule over humans regardless of their title. No L is required when addressing them. They need no honorifics, for the names of the ancient dynasties are known to all. Father nods somberly. Yes, we can never be their equals. Do whatever an Arcanian tells you and never defy them. Ever. And what about grandfather and me? Where do we stand as nobles? That is easy. Father and grandfathers are nobles of the mantle. This title cannot be inherited, but it can be earned by any commoner as a reward for great service for the empire in the legion or as a civil servant. Father suddenly grows quiet and looks you in the eyes intently. Yes, and someday you will earn a noble title too, son, all in due time. Son of nobility, Sir Tybalt's school teaches children of all stripes. Nobles of the mantle and low-born parents can send their sons here. And every passing day, the children of noblemen invent new ways to snub and bully the commoners. Most of the time, the bully leading them is Diederic, the son of the secretary of the imperial chancellery and a self-important slob. Sons of noblemen never pick on you, however. They know that your father has been ennobled by the mantle. However, Diederic and his retinue soon choose Thomas as their favorite victim. Time and time again, you ask your friends not to pay them any mind, but again and again, Thomas grows angry and snaps their self-satisfied mockery. It is early morning. The students are busy, flocking to the classroom for the next lesson. You wave Thomas over and you see him. He waves back at you, and then a bucket full of slop splashes on him. Needless to say, it is the work of Diederic and his entourage. You hear his familiar creaking after. The tailor's son stinks. How dare he sit next to the decent folk? Thomas clenches his fists. You're dead, Diederic. He throws himself at Diederic's haughty entourage like a soldier ready for war. Attacks them first. This is just what they expected. And they are free to retaliate. He barely makes one movement before 4 pairs of hands grab at him at once. Diederic sneers and kicks your friend in the belly. Thomas gasps for air and starts coughing. Stand between him and Diederic as Diederic readies another kick. Nobleman's son cocks an eyebrow. Why do you mingle with commoners, he asks. Your father's a noble of the mantle. You ought to be friends of your own kind. You're equal, not the dirt beneath your feet. Behind him, 4 boys hold Thomas down as he struggles furiously. Other students are watching you, frozen in fear. Diederic kindly extends his hand to you. He clearly expects you to shake it. What will you do? You challenge Diederic to a fight. Turn him over to the teachers. Admonish the nobleman's son. Interesting. Or shake Diederic's hand. He is right. Being friends of the sons of nobles can benefit your family. This is tough because, again, you have your friends from the common lot, but in the long run, you're going to be a noble. So we have an option. You challenge them so you can either be more noble by fighting, or please make your father happy as well. At the end of the day, I hate to say it, he just gets himself in trouble. I can't really support that. Not when I gotta climb this. So we're gonna shake Diederic's hand. Diederic, Thomas, and the entire school see you shake his hand. There's truth in what he said. You are both children of nobles. Being friends of your peers is good for the family and your father's standing. The secretary's son's hand is cold and moist. Thomas winces when he sees you shake the boy's hand. A satisfied smile appears on Diederic's face. Now that he has finally gotten what he wanted, he signals to his friends to let Thomas go. Thomas gets back on his feet, looks you straight in the eyes, and shakes his head in disappointment. I'm gonna ask you about that, Leeroy. Why you... Thomas avoids you for the rest of the day. When lesson ends, he quickly packs up and leaves without you. Spend the evening with Diederic and his retinue. It turns out the children of noblemen aren't so bad when you get to know them. They're simply afraid for their status and eager to avoid being mixed up with the low-born boys. Not Diederic himself, however. His stupidity and bravado are astonishing. Leeroy became their leader through sheer audacity and overconfidence. However, always remember exactly why you need his friendship. Several days pass, and Diederic invites you to his family house. You inform father of the invitation. Robert, you have made friends of the city hall secretary's son. This may bode well for our family. Well done. I will accompany you there. Both of you travel to the city hall district when the time comes. The secretary's house is larger and more luxuriously decorated than your family's. There isn't even a garden in front of it, planted in imported soil. Diederic pompously introduces you to his father, a balding, aloof-looking nobleman. The two fathers sip wine until the sun goes down. discussing Anazade's affairs such as the quorum decree, lesser quorums, the policies of Archduke Milanadas, and a new agenda set by Prefect Elborn. Father doesn't forget to mention that he is related to the prefect. Two fathers part on good terms. They agree to invite each other to dinners and aid each other in work-related matters. You take the carriage back home. Father tussles your hair tipsily. This is a very good connection for your family. I'll tell your grandfather how you helped me set it up. Did very well, Leeroy, so Gregor will certainly appreciate this. In turn, you share a thought that has been weighing heavily on you. In order to make this acquaintance, you had to ignore your best friend Thomas for the better part of a week. What should you do now? Robert. Maybe you should apologize to him first. If you're truly good friends, your friendship will survive this trial. Next day, you catch up to Thomas after school. Naturally, he would rather hurry ahead instead of talking to you. You have to keep up with him while talking. It's quite difficult. There's no reason to be angry anymore, you plead with Thomas. Those noblemen's sons have settled down. They'll never bully him again. You tell him how your father turned his fleeting acquaintance into a useful connection. Reassure Thomas that he will always be your friend, not Diedrich. Nasty and stupid and only wants the other boys to praise him. Thomas stops when he hears you say that. He turns to you, a familiar smile beaming on his face once again. That's interesting, Brant. So you've learned his weak spot, eh? Keep talking. I'll see if I should forgive you. Tell Thomas all about the week you spent with Diedrich. Soon the two of you are making up new names for the bullies based on what you have learned, laughing together again. His resentment soon disappears. He stops avoiding you. This has left a mark in your friendship, but you remain friends. $11:31. Silver Tree. Your theology teaches you more about Anazade. It is more than just a provincial capital. It is also a sacred place placed by the gods. It is where the twin gods for disciples spilled their blood, and from that blood grew the sacred silver tree. Its enormous foliage hangs over the city. You see its branching in the sky every day, but you have never approached the trunk of the tree yourself. Today you will be taking your first trip to the silver tree. Your class is visiting its service in the great temple by the tree's very roots. Thanks to your theology teacher, you and the other students will witness the landmarks of the twins' advert up close. Everybody's excited. Soon you and the others boys enter the slum surrounded by the church district of Anazade. Their roots are pulsating under your feet. They spread underground all throughout the area. Pathetic, cramping hovels and filthy streets surround the trunk of the tree. They are home to paupers, day laborers, and preachers. People of the district bow humbly to you and point you towards the temple. They seem at peace despite the abject poverty in which they live. All who live directly beneath the tree are filled with its divine grace. Your teachers say, people come here to make peace with the world and their fate in it. Your class is unusually quiet. Everybody's listening to the rustling of the leaves and the underground beating of the roots. The sky above you is obscured by the tree's canopy. Find a temple of the twin gods right next to the tremendous trunk in the tree. Almost seems to part of it. There's a crowd there. Pilgrims dressed in traveling clothes, paupers and beggars, common people of the city, and occasionally well-dressed nobles. There are arguments amongst some people who are gathering in separate small groups. Anyone wandering around, staring upward at the tree's branches. The tree impresses you with its might and a calm mating cry. You are filled with desire to sit down and think of the world, to learn something about yourself. Touch the silver white bark and hearken to the whispering leaves. You're distracted enough to fall back from the rest of your classmates. You notice a small path. It should take you right up to the trunk. A tall red-haired woman walks out of the crowd of pilgrims. She is wearing a worn white robe. She is no longer young, but her face is youthful and covered in freckles. Her hands clutch a book. You have never seen this lady pilgrim before, but she looks at you almost as if she has recognized a lifelong friend. She beckons to you and says her name, Matilde, preacher from Astinia, which she says next shakes your very core. It is commendable to see a young man so keen to learn the teachings of the twins, she says. You will never follow the light of the truth within the walls of the temple. Inside you will find only the lies about the lots, the Words of the prophet Isaiah, sanctified by the passage of centuries. Yet anyone who sets out to read the accounts of the twins' own lives knows they never so much as mention the lots. The red-haired preacher's words frighten you. They clash with everything you have heard from Mother, everything you have been taught at school. The lots? A lie? You freeze in fear. Should you argue with Matilde or ask her for more information? Should you treat her as a mad woman and catch up with your classmates? You suddenly feel a small, warm hand grasp your own. You see a little girl next to you. She's just a little older than you, wearing black dress, threadbare, yet almost spotless. Hair is covered by a handkerchief, only a single golden lock showing. Her brown eyes are burning with rage, her hand pulling you away from the red-haired preacher. You stare in confusion at the strange young girl, cheeks flushed by the sudden touch. There's a bit of color in her cheeks, too. Then she starts speaking to you quickly. Jean. Don't listen to her. She's dangerous. Come to the temple with me. Only there will you see the truth. You stand there, surrounded by the crowd of praying pilgrims, and a sound of shuffling feet, torn between two people you have never seen before, and each of them expect to follow her. All the while you hear the whistling of the winds in the tree's branches. Branches reach out to you, almost as if the tree wishes to speak to you, and you hear its voice. But we can't follow her, because we don't have any willpower. Can't give up to the epiphany, because we don't have the insight. Spay of the red-headed pilgrim? No interest in her. Leave them and approach the tree. Knows more than any human. Sure. The tree is beautiful. Silver-white foliage stretches and spreads toward the sky. Held afloat, aloft by a trunk so thick it would be a challenge to walk around it. Leaves rustle and whisper peacefully in the wind. The tree seems to speak to you. You walk away from the odd-looking preacher and the young acolyte, ignoring them as they call out to you. You walk around the temple and the crowd of people, getting closer to the tree with every step. And you extend a shaking hand and touch the bark that is unusually warm. You can feel a pulse beneath the roots. The tree is alive. The roots are so gigantic, they form large grottos, spaces of air embraced by the roots and the ground. You squeeze into one of the grottos. It is unusually bright and quiet, shielded from the noise of entails. Right now, there's only you and the tree. Sit down. There are leaves rustling all around you. The only noise you hear is the beating pulse of life and flows through the tree. And this pulse beats in time with your own heart. Feel clarity and calmness, free of doubt and frustration. The tree speaks to you. Or are they your own thoughts, so strange, unfamiliar, eye-opening? These thoughts speak of soothing love and of crystal clear law, of love and law interweaving, intertwining to bring the miracle of life to you. You stop slouching and your frown becomes a light smile. Hours pass like fleeting seconds. Lose track of time until you overhear someone shouting your name. Alas, it is time to leave this grotto. It's on the setting of Anazade now. The day was quick to pass. Your teacher frowns, ready to scold you. You mumble an explanation, say you are ready to be punished for disobedience. Yet instead, the teacher nods in understanding. Looking back at the tree all the way home. Whatever happens to you today, I find it difficult to put it into words. Shadow of the past. Now the school day has ended. You're making your way home, still mulling over the things you learned from your teachers. The founding of the empire, eternal unshaking rules of a single dynasty, the three estates, each with its own rights, one odd sort of order that the world has, and yet so mysterious. At least it sounds that way when your teachers talk about it. Mother is waiting for you on the porch. She smiles gently when she sees you, yet her expression still shows great concern. Father left on a trip to several distant Magran towns a few days ago. Since then, Mother has been trying to tell you something, but she seems uncertain. Son, could you put your things away and come pray with me? Join Mother in a prayer to the twins. She prays with fervent sincerity, her head bowed low, reciting the words of obedience to them and their greater design in barely audible whispers. Repeat after her, just as she has taught you ever since you were a little boy. Prayer's end, Mother sighs and turns to you. Leeroy, my son, you are 13 now. You'll be grown soon. It's time you learned about certain things. They're important to our family, difficult things. About your father and me about our marriage. He gazed curiously into Mother's eyes. I'm sure you've been wondering about this before. Your father is a nobleman of mantle. So how could he marry a commoner of another man's child? You see, Leroy, your father, when his first wife, Amelia Elborn, died, it was a painful blow to him. He lost the will to live, lost all purpose. He felt like his own destiny was cut short that day as well. Then he met me. You know, the troubles I had in the past. I went to the prefecture as a petitioner to ask for help, protection, justice. When I was a young girl, I worked at a small shop that sold crockery and dishes. The nobleman took a liking to me. May his name be ever forgotten. The twins know I was humble and honored his lot to rule, but he took me by force. Mother falls silent, summoning the courage to continue. Gloria is that nobleman's daughter. But he was outraged. How could I have the gall to burden him with a low-born progeny? He turned me out on the street with that little baby girl in my arms. Mother's voice is shaking now. You take her hand tenderly. I had no home, no honor, nowhere to go, no one to help me. When I went to the prefecture, I didn't really think that the Jesuit would help me find justice against my former master. But when Sir Robert heard my plea, his eyes met mine, and I believed that, at that very moment, twins themselves granted him the gift of their love. Father told me that there was nothing he could do to make the detestable nobleman marry me, but he would never abandon me and baby Gloria, and if I agreed, he would take me into his own home. Tears are running down Mother's cheeks. And I knew it, my son. I knew how much his honor and reputation would suffer. Caring for me brought him back to life. It's like he experienced another sacrament, discovered his noble purpose, his lot to rule and protect and care for others. But his decision to marry me, he is still paying for it today. Father had the courage to defy your grandfather, the founder of his bloodline. If only you knew how much he had to endure, my son. If only you knew the despicable rumors he heard about the Brants all over Anazade. It was only thanks to the efforts of Sir Gregor that the Brant bloodline managed to hang on to what little remains of its reputation. And now the noble families have all but forgotten about that scandal, thanks to the twins. Mother falls silent. She looks at you intently. Do you understand what she's telling you? My son, I'm not telling you this just to share the pain of my past. I have no reason to complain. Even Sir Gregor has accepted me through gritted teeth. You need to understand the heavy burden our family must bear, including our scandalous marriage and Gloria's foul origin. Gloria, she can never be a Brant. Even if the old Brants agreed, the news would stir up the old scandal in the minds of high society. If that were to happen, Leroy, they would see even your birth as illegitimate. Mother sighs heavily. What I told you just now is something you have to know, son. You're about to enter adult life. By my lot, I must be humble. I cannot tell you how to treat your family, but may I ask you a question? Let you know that all of this, do you still see Gloria as your sister? Accept Gloria as your sister? Distance yourself from Gloria? Or evade the question? It's good for the family, it's good for you. You're more wary when dealing with Gloria from now on. Huh. It's kind of true. I want to disappoint Mother Gloria, but you're not ready to promise anything. Now, sorry, Gloria. Gotta take care of the family. Heartless! Stand up straight, the soft, and politely thank Mother for her warning. From this point on, you will be more wary and prudent when it comes to Gloria. You're not a noble yet, but you're still responsible for the family reputation. You understand very well that eternal family matters could drag the family into dishonor at any moment. Mother's eyes fill with sorrow of understanding. That's right, Leroy. You're right to put your family first. It is your duty to carry on the bloodline after all. No matter what happens to me or Gloria, I will always be grateful to this home for everything it has given us. Just then you hear Gloria carefully knocking at the door of Mother's chambers. Mother, Leroy, I couldn't find you. Cut her off. You and Mother are discussing something important. Gloria should wait until you're done. Why, Leroy, you're growing up quickly? Did you learn that from your elder brother? Or grandfather, perhaps? Gloria snores back at you, but still does as she is told and leaves. Sigh, Mother gives you a kiss on the forehead and returns to her prayers. When you leave, Mother remains alone by her bedside, thanking the twins for the gift of humility and quiet prayer. You're 13 now. Another theology lesson. Today's sermon is about the priests and why the clergy is the only one of the three estates with the right to interpret the lots and guide the other two estates accordingly. Thomas sits next to you, huffing and puffing, as he fervently writes down the teacher's every word. But you've heard all of this from Mother many times before. If you take this moment to daydream a little, Father promised you to take you to the capital once your studies are complete. But the teacher suddenly casts a stern look around the lecture hall and raises his voice at one of his classmates. A boy by the name of Brian jumps out of the seat. The teacher asks him to repeat what he just said. Brian freezes and seems to shrink. Tries to muster a reply, but nothing comes out. Class becomes agitated. Someone about to get punished. The teacher now looms over Brian. The boy's cheeks are flushed and his eyes are covered in tears. You all watch teacher's iron-bound book as he raises it sharply about to strike. Brian shrieks as he raises a hand in front of him. Sudden flash, the teacher screams and buries his face in his arms. His hair is ablaze and his skin is covered in horrible burns. It's magic, real magic, just like the books about the Magra Rebellion. Class freezes in shock. There's a dull thud as the iron-bound book falls into the floor. Brian's hysterical laughter rends the silence. He stands up in front of a bench, fire in his eyes and sparks on his fingertips. There are screams now. Students run for the door. Teachers tries to extinguish his burning hair. Brian snaps his fingers and the books of Essateus on the desk turn into pillars of flame. He laughs and raises his arms, and the curtains catch fire. Screams grow louder as the fire howls. Brian's face is tense and violent. His mouth is spewing flames and his whole body is shaking with laughter. He steps towards the door. You and Thomas glance at each other. Thomas, you're going to burn the whole school down. Your friend's determination makes you brave. You run behind Brian and knock him off his feet. Both tumble to the floor, even though through his clothes, his body sears your flesh. Brian screams, convulses, and grabs Thomas by the shoulders with his burning hands. Thomas howls but stays put, and knocks Brian senseless with several fierce blows to the head. There are servants fussing around the room now. They put out the fire and take away the teacher, his body covered in horrible burns. You and Thomas remain next to Brian, who is lying on the floor silent. Soon 3 men in black cloaks enter the door of the school, each bearing an edict sealed with silver. Inquisition. You and Thomas are told to step away from the witch. They unlock Brian's neck in a silver collar and take him away. One of the inquisitors remains behind him to tell the students what happens. That was magic, he explained. The ungodly power that twists the minds of men, savage instruments of murder. Only the sacred shackles of silver can hold it at bay. Only the power of the twins can save us all from the evil grasps. Next day, you are forbidden from ever mentioning Brian's name again. He is no more. Someone's lot. Great day looms ahead. 100 years ago, Uther Tempest was anointed to rule over the empire. Blessed by the twins themselves, the emperor's reign continues into the 2nd century. Celebrations in honor of the Tempest dynasty are held throughout the city. School is closed for 2 weeks because of that. On one of these evenings, Father tells everyone that grandfather is going to bring Stephen back home for the holiday. They say families should celebrate the day of anointment together. You could benefit from your elder brother's company. With his noble education, Stephen might be able to teach you how noble men are supposed to act. Soon, Stephen arrives. He now handles himself differently. When it comes to ordering servants around and ignoring Gloria, he's still grandfather's double. He's more grown up now and far less haughty to you. Dark winter evening. A damp, cold wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands of Magra. Stephen is sitting in the library. He is telling you all about Eterna, the capital of the empire. It's full of so many wonders. Imperial Palace, enormous temple of the twins, the military academy, the Imperial College. You have read so much about these places, yet you have seen them firsthand. Nathan enters the library. He looks concerned. Nathan, can't find Gloria. Look looked everywhere. She's not in the attic, not in the sitting room, not in the kitchen. Heard she wanted to sneak off to the ruins of Charmilanda's palace. You'd be lost in there. You and Stephen exchange looks. Charmilanda's, the rebellious duke, the ruins of his palace are a dangerous place. You don't claim his tainted magic still lingers there, which means you absolutely have to make your way there and back again to prove you are not afraid of the long-dead witch. Your brother tells you to wait. He leaves and soon returns with his sword in its sheath. Get ready, Leeroy. We're going to rescue Gloria. She must have gone to the ruins in search of inspiration for another one of her little rhymes. Two of you instruct Nathan, tell your parents you've gone out for a walk in the square. You and your elder brother head outside. You're confused by Stephen's action. He refuses to treat Gloria like a human being. So why are you still so determined to rescue her? Stephen notices your expression. Are you wondering why I care about Gloria all of a sudden? I can't act in any other way, can I? The law of honor compels me to protect my family. Gloria will never be a Brant, but father still took her into our house. We must respect the seniority and defend Gloria like she's one of our own. You are a Brant too, noble or not, which means it is your duty to aid me. The ruins of Charmilanda's palace span an entire district. The palace was abandoned centuries ago, and its remnants are overgrown with thick underbrush. The ruined palace is empty, nothing but cold wind blowing over crumbling brickworks. Even the worst scum of the land steer clear of this place. Make your way through the ruins until you spot scattered sheets of paper covered in writing. Your sister's writing. You hear loud laughter coming from behind a dilapidated stone wall nearby. You pull yourself up to peer over it. Gloria is lying on the ground, face down, twitching and sobbing. A gaggle of drunk young thugs surround her, cackling and swinging their arms around. Hear their shouts. Look at that lass, sitting there, here rhyming words together. She thinks she's all noble. Don't you worry, you low-born tart. We're gonna teach you your place. The lout spits at Gloria as she lies there. Stephen, get away from her this instant. You bastards, or I'll spit your gut. They respond with mocking laughter. Stephen draws his sword. The street thugs recoil in fear, but they soon notice he's only armed man against many. They start reaching out for sticks and stones. Stay by my side. Don't let them flank me. Stephen's hands shake, but he looks ready for battle. He's outnumbered. For a moment, you hesitate. Perhaps it might be better to run for the nearby district and call for guards. The young thugs are already armed with makeshift weapons. They start approaching you and Stephen cautiously. So we can charge the attackers, follow your brother's orders. We can call the guards. Now we are definitely gonna get busy defending Stephen while his sword does the attacking. For sure. Stephen's firm voice fills you with confidence. You follow your noble brother's orders. Takes a moment to grab a stick and then you're Stephen's back, angrily swinging at louts as they try to bring him down. When the louts lunges your brother with a stone, but you hit him with a stick, and he falls down right at Stephen's feet. His sword flashes. The blade sinks deep into the young man's stomach. He whizzes. Blood starts pouring into the ground. The thugs freeze. Stephen pulls the sword out. His face an inscrutable mask and returns to his fighting stance. You're stunned to see Stephen take another man's life so easily and effortlessly, like picking his own teeth. Thugs look like they're about to flee. There's a rage and confusion on their faces. They never expected the young nobleman to use that sword. Stephen just scoffs at them. Lowborn scum, that's all you are. This is the only language you understand. Good job, brother. Gloria, get up. You're going home. Turns to glance at your sister, giving the ranged thug just enough time to rush you. You get separated from Stephen. Your back is against the wall now. It hits you hard in the stomach, the face, and the side of the head. Then your mind slips away. When the darkness disperses, you find yourself lying in your bed. Stephen is in an armchair next to you reading a book. He is alive, with left arm in a sling and a black eye, but still alive. Your head is spinning and you feel nauseated. You've tried your best to sit up. Stephen looks up from the book. Don't try to get up. You lost a lot of blood. I suppose that was a few thugs too many for a single warrior, even with good backup. I'm impressed. We fought like an army. The nobles order, the commoners obeys, and all according to our lots. We defended the family family's honor together. You know, brother, nobleman's lot is also a great burden that few are able to bear. It takes courage not to fight everything you see, but to do your duty. Each and every decision a nobleman makes becomes a part of his family's legacy, flowing into blood tied forever. Think about it often. Nobles mustn't act weak. Noble must suffer like people of the low-born lot. Noble must rule over them wisely. Noble must ensure they have work to do. It's not merely your own lot that you have to look after. You have to ensure that 1,000 others can live by their lots as well. There are so many more matters to take care of: honor, dignity, tradition. It's tough, but it's what it takes to be a nobleman. Do you understand what I'm talking about? There's an approval in your brother's eyes for the first time in a long while. It was a pleasure to fight by your side, brother. Trial of the Assailants. Trial of the Assailants. Before long, the entire city hears how a gang of low-born thugs assaulted Stephen Brante. Grandfather ensures that the brash young men are found. Some of them are taken into custody as soon as the lesser death releases them. Grandfather seeks vengeance on those who hurt his favorite grandson. Prefect Elborn, a friend of your family, promised to personally oversee the trial and ensure that justice is served. Stephen and Grandfather decide to stay in Anazade until the trial ends. Grandfather demands true death for every single assailant. You ask Father to explain something. How can a legal court sentence criminals to true death? How can a worldly judgment overrule the twins' law? Your words are true, my son. The law is second to none, yet the twin gods also made the empire in all its ways. The court of law exists to execute the laws of heaven here in the world. Should the court of law sentence a person to death, the law high above will always enforce it, and so every execution brings true death. Commoners who assaulted Stephen, a born nobleman, have committed grave offenses. There is no doubt about that, and yet, according to Emperor's decree, even commoners have the right to defend themselves when they are about to face true death. This means that all of us will have to appear at the trial and testify before court. Evening comes. Gloria visits your room. Looks crestfallen, and her fingers keep reaching for her long hair. Put away your schoolbooks, and ask what is bothering her. The trial's tomorrow. Thought I was going to appear there too as an eyewitness. After all, this whole mess started because of me, but Sir Robert isn't even going to mention that I was there. Can you imagine? He says it would ruin the case. Why am I always in the way? Nobody ever mentions me. Nobody has to listen to me. It's like I don't even exist. I thought Stephen standing up for me finally meant something. Maybe I will become part of the family, but no, everything is back to usual now. Gloria tries her best to hold back tears. Do your best to comfort her. Father just needs to get the family out of trouble. Sir Robert believes that I only bring trouble. Why did he take me into the house at all? Gloria runs away. Turn your books, but you can't help but get lost in thought. What if you told the court you weren't there either? How would you feel then? Just knock at the door. His father closes the door behind him and sits next to you. There's an exhausted look about him. Son, you'll be testifying before court tomorrow. Please remember what I'm about to tell you. Gloria wasn't at the ruins at all. You went there with your brother to inspect the historic site. The low-born men insulted Stephen first and then attacked him. Stephen had managed to deal with the assailants on his own by the time the guards intervened. Gloria will cast suspicion on the case. If we mention her very existence to the court, the reputation of the family will suffer. Your grandfather will never forgive me if that happens. Do not let me down. We are all counting on you. Recall the night of the fight like it was a moment ago. Gloria sprawled under the feet of those cackling thugs. Her poetry, her greatest treasure, scattered on the ground. She thinks she thinks she's all noble. Those were the words they spat down at her. Doesn't grandfather mean the same thing when he denies that she's part of the family? If you do what the father tells you, the trial will end quickly. These commoners will face true death for assaulting a noble. If you mention Gloria, things will get complicated and you cannot predict how the trial will end. Which is more important to you, what is right or what is just? Yeah. Court father. Not an agreement. You will follow the family's plan for the trial to the letter. A faint smile appears on father's fatigued face. Thank you, son. This is an important case for our family and for me as well. Appreciate your support. Day comes. The trial takes place in the lesser hall of the city prefecture. Sir Bourne himself presides as the judge. You are seated next to Father and Stephen. Testify to the court, one and after another. You echo your brother's testimony to the letter. Young commoners insulted you as you were both walking to the ruins, and they assaulted you. Stephen defended you. Lives of the 4 thugs are forfeit. Sir Bourne rises to deliver the sentence. The court of Anazzari judges you guilty of assaulting Stephen Brante, a nobleman. All 4 defendants are sentenced to true death by hanging. There is no wind, but you feel gusts sweep through the hall. Defendants turn pale. Their mothers are bawling and crying. Everybody in the court feels the dreadful powers of the law, and it's stern and just. That very power has been invoked by the sentence, and by that very sentence, the lives of 4 young men are literally forfeit for all eternity. The gallows await. Stephen and grandfather stand in the front row. The wood creaks, the trapdoor opens at the young men's feet. They dangle in the air, wheezing and reaching out for support, their feet in their final moments. Father lets out an audible sigh of relief. It's all over now. Gloria comes back home the day after. She refuses to eat dinner and locks herself in a room. Before she leaves, however, you notice a scratch on her face, and her hair is deceived. Go to her room and knock on the door, but she will not open. She finally replies, she's already gone to bed. You should leave. Did you do the right thing during the trial? Your sister is still being bullied. No one knows she has a family to defend her, and Gloria does not want to be defended now. Those 4 commoners saw no mercy. Lives ended for assaulting noblemen. What did you seek to prove of this, and to whom? Was it worth it in the end? All right, so as we head into 1132, this will be where we will break for this episode. Hopefully you're enjoying it. And in the next episode, we will go and continue on as we try and finish these troubling and difficult years. Again, this is Leeroy of Leeroy Gaming. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And we will see you in the next video.